Nigeria Friday edition. Thank God they say it is Friday and we are super excited you could find time to join us. My name is Nten Ekpan. Welcome to the program.
And I'm Eunice Johnson, and of course, yes, it is another lovely morning in Nigeria today, and we welcome you to your favorite show, Daybreak Nigeria.
As usual, there's business, there's sports, there's entertainment, art, life and style, and a whole lot put together just for your viewing delight. There's Friday morning, and we do assure you that if you give us the next 45 minutes or 1 hour or thereabout, you will definitely be a different person because there's something new for you to learn in every episode of the program.
Of course, we do hope to give you that Friday feel. So at the end of the program, we hope you would scream, "Thank God it's Friday."
Absolutely. Of course, our concerns for the day immediately. Of course, one of the papers has said, beware of anti-workers governors. NLC warns Buhari. So do we have anti-workers governors, as it were?
Well, perhaps we should say those are the words of the NLC, and they have reasons for calling them anti-workers governors. I mean, just yesterday on the program, we were talking about the 30,000 naira minimum wage and how the debate is still ongoing. And you could imagine that if you are refusing to approve 30,000 naira, what do you want to become of Nigerians? I mean, 1,000 naira per day is still not enough for the common man to survive.
And there's some months that are even 31 days.
Exactly, you know, exactly.
So you're expecting that some months we should live on less than 1,000 naira per day.
You could imagine that. So perhaps that's why NLC sees them as anti-workers governors, governors who are against the survival of workers.
And they are rooting for 22,500 as a minimum wage, so from 18, 19, 20, 21, 20, just an extra 4,500. Actually, you could agree with NLC to an extent that there may be anti-workers.
You remember they actually said that if they have to go with the 30,000 naira, then there's a likelihood that some staff would be laid off. Or some states will go bankrupt. And they just pinpointed only Lagos as a state that may be able to pay. That is ready to pay, exactly.
All right, those are our concerns, and we hope that there will be a common ground between government, labor, and all of the parties involved in the execution and, of course, implementation of the new national minimum wage. Up next is our EM News, and of course, and as usual, Priscilla is standing by for the news on Daybreak Nigeria, and I know that in few seconds from now, is Priscilla ready? I'm very confident. Let's join Priscilla now for the news.
Good morning, this is the AM News on Television Nigerian. I am Priscilla Iwerem. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the federal government will soon establish people money and entrepreneurship banks to boost small and medium-scale enterprises. Osinbajo disclosed this while speaking with newsmen during a visit to Bodija and Oje local government markets in Ibadan on Thursday to monitor the Trader Money Initiative. It was, however, reported that the initiative is a federal government intervention program for petty traders under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program. Meanwhile, the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said the initiative was part of the APC agenda, adding that the People Money Bank would be devoted to giving credits to ordinary people. He said that no fewer than 1 million traders had already benefited from the trader money. The acting chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, has cautioned bureau de change operators in the country against aiding corrupt practices of some politicians. Magu made this known at a meeting with the Association of Border Change Operators of Nigeria in Abuja on Thursday. In a statement by Head Media and Publicity EFCC Tony Orilade, the chairman said the politicians often connived with BCD operators to steal public funds. The BDC operators now take the money to the politicians' village and also buy properties for them in and outside the country. He stated that they help clean up dirty money, and when persecution commences in every zone, others will sit up. At least 3 soldiers were killed and several missing after a Boko Haram attack on a military base in Nigeria's northeastern Borno state, military and militia sources reported on Thursday. Boko Haram fighters, believed to be from the IS-affiliated Islamic State West Africa province, late Wednesday attacked the base in the town of Kareto, 150 kilometers north of the state capital, Maiduguri. The militants temporarily dislodged troops from the base before being repelled with aerial support. The bodies of 3 soldiers were recovered after the attack, said the militia, and referred not to be identified. President Mohammed Makante said insurgents came around 11 p.m. and opened indiscriminate fire. Despite the government's insistence that the group is near defeat, Boko Haram had recently carried out major attacks on military and civilian targets, killing scores. The U.S. Treasury imposed sanctions on 17 Saudi officials on Thursday for their role in killing late month of Jamal Khashoggi at the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. The first concrete response by the Trump administration to the journalist's death. The sanctions limit access to the U.S. financial system and freeze the individual's assets. They will be implemented under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act, which targets perpetrators of serious human rights abuses and corruption. Shalan said Prince Samal knew nothing about the operation in which Khashoggi's death was dismembered, removed from the building and handed over to an unidentified local cooperator. That was the AM News today. Join us for Daybreak Nigeria shortly.
question of leadership is a factor in this regard to the success of the fight against the Boko Haram terrorists. And then you look at also the factor of morale.
That was the AM News with Priscilla. Thank you very much for keeping us updated with all the news we need to know today.
Absolutely, and it's now time to go to our next segment, which is the tabloid. That segment where we bring you all of the details that are trending on the front pages of the newspapers this morning. And I have the Nation newspaper, I have the Vanguard, and of course I have the Sporting Live.
And I have the Punch newspaper, Nigerian Pilot, and Blueprint newspaper.
Well, this morning, to help us analyze and talk about all of those details that we will be reading out to this morning, we have in the studio a writer, journalist, and public affairs commentator, Lawrence Awudu. Lawrence, thanks for joining us today on the Paper Review segment.
It's a great pleasure.
Good to have you. Yeah, so I know you're going to tell us everything we need to hear, but what's up this morning with you?
Yeah, I'm okay, fine. It's great to be
Obviously,
here.
you're all smiles.
Yeah, I can see that.
As always.
We hope you're ready for us today.
Yeah, as always, the ladies first, so
Yeah,
you keep the ball rolling on that segment, yeah.
All right, basically we're starting off with the Punch newspaper, and right on top of the Punch newspaper, Boko Haram, Burate deploys special forces, terrorists burn villages. Details of that on page 40. Federal government ASU meeting deadlocked. You find details of that on page 10. Atiku Seconda's PDP governors hold crucial meeting. That story is on page 7. Saraki Oshomole in War of Words. You might want to check that out on page 40. The Punch newspaper has a banner headline, Beware of anti-workers governors. NLC wants Buhari will vote out governors against 30,000 naira minimum wage, says Labour. Details of that on page 3. Beneath is a picture story, a cross-section of kingmakers during the conferment of first-class chieftaincy title on His Royal Highness Bozo Magaji in Jos. And right under the picture story, Lagos Ibadan Rail, federal government to demolish parts of Apapa Ports terminals. Details of that on page 25. Nigeria will be world's second biggest rice importer in 2019, says USDA. Details of that on page 28. By-election, gunmen attack APC candidate in Kwara State. You'll find details of that on page 40. Shiites continue Abuja protests, say 7 women missing. Details of that on page 10. Man plans boss's kidnap in Niger. Octogenarian nabbed for possession of fake dollars. You find details of that story on page 8 of the newspaper. Marafa accuses Yari of recruiting 8,500 youth to destabilize polls. Page 40 has the details of that story.
These are the stories on the Punch newspaper. So, Lawrence, what do you make of all of the stories that she just reeled out?
Well, first and foremost, the story on Labour, the NLC, warning the federal government to beware of anti-workers governors. I agree with them on that, because you would agree with me that since the inception of this administration, there has been several tranches of bailout funds given to governors, even those ones that were being owed in the last administration. The FG has sorted all these things out. But unfortunately, many governors have yet to comply with the salary obligation. So I think the NLC is right. The government should take adequate measures to sanction erring governors in this regard.
But some of them may argue that the bailout funds were to pay backlog of salaries and probably areas of pensions and gratuity, and not to implement a new minimum wage. So they could have a cogent reason to say, hey, we may not be able to do this, as it were?
No, as a matter of fact, the bailout fund has actually little to do with the new minimum wage, the new national minimum wage. The bailout funds, we're talking about salaries first of all, because when the administration came on board, it was now known that many states have been owing salaries first of all. There are some states that even had their own, their what do you call it now, the benchmark above the national minimum wage. Some of them are paying up to 20, some are paying, Lagos and those states were paying fairly well, But there are some states, in spite of all the tranches, they have not been able to meet up this commitment. So it's quite unfortunate.
All right, so we really have to look out for anti-workers governors, as it were. All right, let's move to the next paper. And the next paper I have is the Nation's newspaper. And above the nameplate of the Nation's newspaper this morning, INEC chair promises credible elections. Find that story on page 9 of the Nation's newspaper. And just beside that, to the right, Ganduje slams 3 billion naira suit on publisher. Find that story on page 42. Port congestion, others cost Nigeria $19 billion yearly. And that story is on page 11. Nigeria wants Moses out of retirement. That's a story you find on page 47. Below the nameplate, Oshomole Saraki clash over bribery allegation. That story begins from the front page and continues on page 6. And inside the Nation newspaper this morning, Mimiko quit presidential race. That's on page 10. 340 million tramadol tablets seized. That's on page 39. I think that's good. And the banner headline, NLC dares governors over 30,000 national minimum wage. And the rider there, workers to vote out politicians who won't pay. Oshomole seeks living wage. And he is quoted as saying few political office holders are bent on enslaving Nigerian workers with peanuts mislabeled as salaries. And just below the paper there, how BDCs, that's Bureau of Change Operators, assist politicians to loot by Mago. Mago is the chairman of EFCC. And People's Money Bank coming. And down the paper, Senator alleges Yari plotting to destabilize polls in Zamfara. That story is on page 39. And those are the stories making the headlines on the front page of the Nation this morning. Over to you, Lawrence.
Again, we have the issue of NLC coming on the front burner in the Nation newspaper. NLC, again, I still agree with them on this. Because I don't understand. There are some months, I mean, if you're paying 30,000, well, fair enough. But I've always been of the view that it is not the increment of salaries that is that it should be the thing. What we should be looking at is how to improve the economy, right? You could have a minimum wage of 200,000 naira, as it may be, or in any case. It really does not change anything much because it is not the amount. But if you have a viable economy, which I believe this administration is building, you are able to, live within a specified means. You know that even if it is 1,000 naira or 10,000 naira that you earn, the economy still allows you, the leverage to be able to, do a lot of things. So on that, NLC, they should vote out anybody who is not willing to make life meaningful for the people. That's, on its own. Then I saw the story of the INEC chairman who is promising credible elections. Yeah, I totally agree. I believe and I have confidence in.
Does he have another option, as it were, apart from credible elections?
He has no option. That is just it.
If he has started promising credible elections, what about issues already arising from just the voters' register? If the voters' register is Nigerians are actually sporting lots of discrepancies. Starting with that, how do you think INEC would be able to handle 2019
what are the
discrepancies? For instance, missing names, names of expatriates, names of dead people, wrong dates of birth, misspelled names and all of that, just on the voters' register. Now, if these discrepancies can't be handled at this level, what hope is there for 2019?
As far as I know, those issues are issues that people have, voiced, lately. but I believe INEC has the capacity to address these issues. But again, the elections that have been conducted in the recent months have been fairly credible. Nigerians have attested to it. So I believe they have the capacity and they are doing everything possible. And well, like you rightly said, their choices are limited here. The only choice they have is to, to give Nigerians free, fair, and credible elections.
So it's either credible elections or credible elections.
Absolutely.
All right, we now move on straight to Nigerian Pilot newspaper with a picture of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar there. On the chin, he looks as though he's actually deep in thought. 2019, I am willing to give the Niger Delta total control of oil revenue. I know someone in Niger Delta will be smiling. Says Atiku, that you find on page 9. 4 family members die, others hospitalized after Amala meal. Details of that on page 6, quite a sad one there. And a banner headline says, Nigeria's unity not negotiable, says President Buhari. Details of that on page 4, and right beneath the headline, our riders launches Buhari unity band to kick off electioneering campaign. Says it's meant to keep Nigeria united towards 2019 elections. Expresses concerns over growing threats to unity and build up to the elections. Details of all of that you find on page 4. And under is a picture story of President Muhammadu Buhari. He obviously looks like he's trying to get a point across to those listening to him. So you might want to check the illustration out. Nigeria to become world's biggest importer of rice by 2019, USDA says. Details of that on page 6. Minimum wage, we are ready for showdown, NLC tells NGF. Details of that on page 4. Governor Ganduje sues Daily Nigerian 3 billion naira over dollar video scandal. You find details of that on page 7. Will not fail Nigerians in 2019, says INEC chairman. You find details of that story on page 11. Nigeria launches national campaign against open defecation. You find details of that on page 5. Ethno-religious differences, Sultan pleads with Nigerians to live in peace. Peace is actually key. Yeah. Details of that you find on page 5. Now, Lawrence, again, what do you make of those stories?
I'll start with the major headline on that newspaper, Nigerian Pilot. You see, for some time now, many of us have been voicing out and reiterating our calls for the unity of this country. Nigeria is the only country we have, and we cannot afford to lose it. Now, if people come sponsoring negative news and spreading rumors as well as propaganda, it is incumbent on us, to kick against these things, because I consider them as vices. What happened in a country like Rwanda and what is going on in the Congo and other African countries that have been divided along ethnic and religious lines, just the way we seem to be going in Nigeria. There is no country in Africa that can contain a refugee flow from Nigeria. Yeah, I mean, it's unimaginable. We shouldn't even think of anything that would destabilize us. And we just keep doing these things quietly without knowing. People just sit in the comfort of their homes, and then they have access to smartphones, and then they are sending messages that is causing a lot of disaffection. I will just tell Nigerians, look, this is the only country we have. If you hate a government so much, why don't you just wait? If you have the power to vote out the government, fine. But if you don't, just contend with them until they are done. Then you can, come out and get what you want. But as it stands, we cannot condone hate speeches and negative propaganda. It is tearing us. And religious leaders are not even helping matters in this. A lot of them have been accused. But I believe that the government is worried about this, and we will continue to support. We should continue to voice out in favor of the unity of this country. And then on the issue of rice importation, I don't agree with that. No.
Why don't you?
There has been a renewed effort, aimed at food security in Nigeria, and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has been doing a lot. We have been seeing what they are doing locally. Homegrown rice is everywhere. Nigeria has reduced the importation of rice so far by 97%. You had a situation where you were importing about 440,000 tons annually. Today we just import about 20,000. That's a reduction in about 97%. So it's very unfair. If the people who are sponsoring that, I think they already know that it's bad market for them. So they need to just
local balance.
So you're saying there is actually no smoke without a source. They have reasons for saying whatever they're saying, but might not necessarily be true.
These are the people who import rice, and then they went through an organization. That name you probably have not even heard it before. Every rice in the market now, only a very minute percentage that is not Nigerian rice. So it's unfortunate. And then I'll take on that the story on Atiku saying he's going to empower the Niger Delta. I don't know which Niger Delta he wants to empower. Is it the same Niger Delta that he has impoverished through his schemings over the years? Anyway, this is not the right avenue.
We might want to call it a comeback. Maybe he wants to come here.
Nigerians cannot trust him.
Yeah, I was just trying to flip open to see what the USD is. United States
maybe Development
Department for
Agency
Agriculture.
So
I have never
United
heard
States
that
Department
before.
for Agriculture.
But don't forget that when Buhari traveled to the US recently, the last time he went to the US, when he met Trump, after Buhari had spoken, Trump reiterated his desire to export, agricultural products to Nigeria. Nigeria that we're already looking at how, we'll ensure, achieve food security for our people. Trump is telling you he wants to send food items, he wants to export agricultural items. So if that is coming from them, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next page that I have, and that is the Vanguard newspaper. Some headlines above the nameplate this morning. Bribery allegation, Ganduje slams 3 billion naira suit against online newspaper. Find that story on page 35. NEMA probe, reps panel uncovers another stash of rice in Lagos. Details on page 9. Gunmen attack PDP chieftains in Rivers, kill one. Find that story on page 6 of the Vanguard. Alleged inducement. Oshomole threatens to sue Saraki, who will meet in court. Saraki replies. Details on page 8. Apprehension over 6.1 trillion naira e-fraud loss. That's on page 20. And just below the nameplate, minimum wage. That's a kicker. SAG threat, invitation to anarchy. Remember, governors have threatened to sack workers if they have to implement the 30,000 minimum wage. So Labour is saying that's an invitation to anarchy. Two riders there, get retrenched at the polls. ULC, cut governance cost TUC, NECA tell governors. For 1 year, governors didn't give us a figure. Purple, tripartite committee chair says. That story it begins on the front page and continues on page 5. And the picture story there is that of President Muhammadu Buhari, who is in the middle and is joined by other dignitaries during the official launch and unveiling of the Buhari Unity Band in the State House, Abuja, yesterday. So you should get some of those bands for us, so we can just put them in our hand. That's a very unity. Okay, just below the picture story there, ICPC uncovers 2.5 billion naira fraud in NBC. Is that Nigeria Broadcasting Corporation? Is that Nigeria Breweries or whatever? Okay, $300 million debt will hand you over to EFCC. Reps tell 12 shipping firms. That story is on page 14. There are still issues questioning Nigeria's unity, says Buhari. Find that on page 9. And I just like you to, on the lighter side, that there's a cartoon of Mr. and Mrs. there. It says, if they say your husband is ugly, it is a blessing for both of us. I won't be able to commit adultery because I won't be attracted to any woman, and you will have rest of mind. Women who marry ugly men live longer.
You might want to also tell us how true that is.
After a night.
That was a very funny one.
Yeah, yeah, so let's leave that and go to your reaction to the paper.
Okay, let me react quickly to that sack threat, the minimum wage issue again.
Yes.
If Labour is saying sack threat is an invitation to anarchy, I think that statement is not so responsible.
All right.
No, they shouldn't say that. It's like you're trying to incite the public. Then again, one of the reasons why some governors have not been able to meet up with the salary costs, and in a state like Ogun, for instance, before now, you had those people working in other farms in the payroll of the state government. Now there was some verification they did one time, and they now discovered that some of these guys are not really state government workers. So those issues, and then you have several public officers who, in one way or the other, put the names of their staff in the payroll of the state. That alone is one of the reasons why this thing is. And then the governors didn't have the willpower to take on some of these godfathers, those ones who were able to muster the courage. Yes, I think they're having it fine. Edo State is one because they fought, or Shomole fought to a standstill the issue of godfatherism. So some states have not been able to muster that courage, and then it's affecting them now. So but NLC shouldn't say it's an invitation to anarchy. It's like you're inciting the people.
All right.
Okay, moving on to Blueprint newspaper. Right beneath the nameplate, Atiku's endorsement by Southeast leaders affront on Igbo, says APC. Details of that story on page 17. NDLEA uncovers 12 containers with 340 million tramadol tablets. You find details of that on page 5. I think that's a good one.
It
actually.
is.
Yes.
We need.
We
have a lot of mad people in Nigeria.
Yes, exactly.
Tramadol
All in the name of getting high.
Aye.
Minimum wage. NLC calls governor's bluff. Dismisses sack threat. How to solve quagmire, says Middle Belt Southern leaders. Details of that on page 6. UN spends $70 million on humanitarian assistance in Northeast. You find details of that on page 5. And beneath is a bold headline, INEC won't fail Nigerians in 2019, says Yakubu. And you have under it a picture story of the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Sahad Abubakar, seated with the retired Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Tijani Bolarinwa Babalakin. And right under the picture story, Oshomole litmus test for Buhari's anti-graft war, says Saraki. And writers beneath, substantiate your claims or face legal action, says the party chair. Litigation threat, empty boasts, says the Senate president. Dapchi school reopens 9 months after abduction. That seems to be good. After Amala meal in Ilorin, you find details of that story on page 9. Man remanded for raping 9-year-old girl. You find details of that story on page 13. Federal government ASU meeting deadlocked. Details of that on page 18. So what do you have to say to all of this?
Again, the issue of INEC is back on the fore again. Yes, we've discussed that before.
Yeah.
I still believe and I have confidence in them. Then the endorsement of Atiku by Southeast leaders, well, that was just an endorsement. But as a matter of fact, if the Southeast, the people of the Southeast, very wonderful people, they have really suffered politically, if you want to put it that way. So the wisest thing for them to do at this point in time is not to delay their presidency again. Because if Atiku comes in now, he may want to stay on for another 8 years. Everybody, when they come, they want to finish their term and go. So it doesn't look like in 2023, an Igbo man will become president of this country. They
Is
deserve
that
to
a guarantee from Buhari, you know, if they vote APC?
No, no.
Is that a guarantee
The
that they
natural
will?
thing for them to do is to allow this man finish his term. If Buhari finishes his term by 2023, it's natural that the SGF has said it a number of times. So if the Igbos can actually come out and, you know, come together, and then let's just give this man another 4 years. Once he's done, peacefully, everyone is happy. The South is, they can consolidate on what they have, and then someone will be, you know, will emerge from there. All Nigerians will support them. So this kind of divisive politicking is not going to help the Igbos, and you know, the rhetoric from that end is really not palatable over time. Then the issue of Oshomole. Well, it's been in the papers for some time. That's, as it stands, it's just an allegation for now. It's subject to what do you call it now? The investigation. So it can be investigated. It's not above the law. If he's found to have, you know, committed the crime, fine and good. But you should also understand that the party primaries have just been concluded, and the party primary is not like people who went into a cinema hall and then coming out smiling after watching a very lovely movie. No. They have gone, it was a battle. There are some people who will come, like Tinubu said, with bruises, some with broken bones and what have you. These guys will not smile. So some of these issues are natural to crop up. But I think, by and large, Oshomole is still the man, you know, for the job as it stands now. Then the issue of the drug abuse, the tramadol thing, it's quite unfortunate.
It really is.
It's really, really very unfortunate. We should go beyond just talking. We should just go beyond talking. Let us begin to see how we can match up our words with action. The society is dying. You don't know the man who carries you on bike, the guy who drives you in a taxi, the one who carries you in UKK, and the guy who lives next door to you. All these guys are, most of them are, you know, high on substances. So our children, ourselves, our families, our neighbors, everybody's endangered. So we should go beyond just talking. And it's not just arresting and dealing with them that is the issue. We need to begin to mobilize, you know, in the form of sensitization, and then providing an alternative, you know, so that the issue of these drug menace will be a thing of the past. That's my take.
Absolutely. Let me go to the last paper, which is not your very familiar terrain, but I know you have something to say. Both of them, actually. It's a sporting life, and I'm not
We're both in one boat.
I know. But it's something we can deal with, actually.
Okay.
Because there's a Super Eagles match coming up tomorrow.
I'm in the center. I'm taking.
So we can always do some prediction.
yeah,
Okay, it's a
yeah.
sporting life. I have the sporting life right now, and let's just look at some of the sports stories trending on the sporting life this morning. Ronaldo and Rodriguez to get married. Find out on the back page. Now, Conte close to new Chelsea deal. All right, also on the back page. Bafana to arrest Musa Iwobi. List Balogun Etebo Chikweze 2. That's ahead of the South Africa versus Nigeria match tomorrow. All right, and I will arrest one there on Musa. Well, Musa has been one of the top goal scorers for Nigeria, so they want to arrest him. Find that story on page 7 of the Sporting Live. Raw keeps goalkeepers guessing on page 5 rather, because he hasn't said this is the goalkeeper that's going to, you know, man the post tomorrow. So all of them are guessing. Page 5 has that story. William Ekong, Hungry Eagles will stun Bafana. That's the hope. Also on page 5. Ankle injury. Onyekuru doubtful. Wears ice pack around left ankle. That's sad news for Nigeria because he may not feature tomorrow. International retirement. Nigeria wants Moses back. You know, Victor Moses had announced he was going to retire, but Nigerians said he should come back. Find that story on page 5. Nwosu urges Super Eagles avoid early South Africa goal. That's on page 5. So if you have to win them tomorrow, try and avoid an early goal. And of course, Chelsea leading race for Pulisic, while Bayern Munich considering Zidane approach. Of course, they want to hire Zinedine Zidane. I'm sure he will love to come back. Dybala not thinking of leaving Juventus. Find that on the back page of the Sporting Life. this morning. And those are probably the most trending stories on the Sporting Live this morning. All right, so Nigeria is playing South Africa tomorrow. What's your prediction?
No, we're winning.
By what margin do you think? Let's start with Eunice. By what margin?
Don't put me on the hot seat right now. All I know is they should just launch a campaign for the big Bring Back Victor Moses. You know, maybe that will help. That's all I can say.
Probably that's your magic wand.
He is the reviewer here.
What's your take on the match tomorrow?
Let me see. 2-0.
In favor of Nigeria, right?
Yes, of course. I'm very patriotic.
I know. we all are. About the
As I'm talking about Ronaldo and Rodriguez, for God's sake, why have they not been married?
Well, I think they want to answer you right now. They're about to get married.
Sometimes these headlines can be very, very, tricky.
Yeah.
When I saw Ronaldo and Rodriguez to get married, I was like, Ronaldo and Rodriguez
getting
married to each other, until I kind of got the drift of what the headline was actually saying.
Okay, so we're all, on the same page. We agree that we should all win the match tomorrow, and that's the hope of every Nigerian on the street of Abuja and every other state in Nigeria, and we're sure that they will definitely go for goal and win that match. I'd like to say thank you to Lawrence Abudu for coming on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you will find time to come again when we invite you.
It's actually been a good time with him.
Yeah, definitely. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Daybreak Nigeria continues. Don't go away. For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria. Segment. Once again, we'd like to say thank you to Lawrence for coming the review segment.
Yeah, he actually did justice to those headlines.
Yeah.
Yes. We now move on straight to business news, where Chinwendu Osisiogu is standing by.
If you don't really film this one.
Approval in principle, and the telecoms companies that have indicated interest in driving the financial inclusion plans of the federal government are MTN, Airtel, Nine Mobile, Entel, and Globalcom. However, objected to the minimum deposit of 5 billion naira, saying it was on the high side considering that other mobile money operators were asked to make a payment of 2 billion naira, adding that these issues have been addressed in feedback to the Apex Bank, expressing optimism that the input will be considered. The federal government has charged the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency to come up with innovative measures that will help reduce the number of unmetered power users across the country. Speaking at the second NEMSA Stakeholders Forum in Abuja, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola asked the agency to do more in implementing its mandates by exploring other opportunities that would help address the lack of meters in the industry. Standing on the heels of the government, over 6 million consumers of electricity in Nigeria do not have meters, and this has impacted negatively on operators in the sector. The minister affirmed that he would like to focus on the first element of NEMSA's mandate, which is to ensure that electricity materials, equipment and instruments used in the Nigerian electricity supply industries are of the right quality, standards and specifications. The Nigerian Stock Exchange has fined 4 companies a total of 127.2 million naira for failure to adhere to best corporate governance practices and refusal to submit their accounts and operational reports as and when due. Recalling that in 2018, the NSE has lifted their suspension. The NSE has lifted the suspension it had earlier placed on trading in the shares of EcoCorp PLC, Academic Press PLC, Premier Paints PLC, and Ostilas and Company PLC. Meanwhile, the latest ex-compliance data from the NSC revealed that 4 companies were suspended at different times in 2017 and failed to right their wrongs, which led to the huge amount of accumulated fines. According to the data obtained from the exchange, EcoCorp owns 75.6 million naira, Academic Press 35 million naira, Premier Paint 11.2 million naira, and Ostilas 5.4 million naira, adding that Premier Paint and EcoCorp were suspended on July 5, 2017. Ostilas was suspended on August 2, 2017, and Academic Press on October 4, 2017. The naira yesterday depreciated to 361.5 naira per dollar in the parallel market. According to a report, the live exchange rate platform of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, the parallel market exchange rose to 361.5 naira per dollar from 361 naira per dollar on Tuesday, indicating 50 kobo depreciation of the naira. Similarly, the naira yesterday depreciated by 53 kobo in the investors and exporters window, even as the volume of dollars traded rose by 15%. Data from financial market dealer quotation showed that indicative exchange rate for the window rose to 364.24 naira per dollar yesterday from 363.71 naira per dollar on Tuesday, translating to 53 kobo depreciation of the naira. The volume of dollars traded yesterday in the window rose by 15% to $169.98 million from $147.41 million on Tuesday. Food business is a very competitive and taxing one. It takes an extra effort to ensure its continuous existence and growth. Taken to the streets of Abuja and speaking with some food vendors regarding on how they manage their food business in their locality, this was what they had to say.
It's a lot of challenges. This is something that I've never done in my life. I am trying to, I just put interest on it. And for first start, I've been losing a lot. This is a new business that I'm just starting. And people have not really known here that much. But by the grace of God, people have been coming, not constantly like yesterday, it was not really like today. As a baby business that I'm trying to establish, there is no really target like that. I am only trying to establish it this year. Then from next year, I am going to give myself a target from January next year by the grace of God. But at this 2 month, 3 month, I am trying to establish the business. By the time I have a lot of customers, then I will now give myself a very good target.
That's the business news from Television Nigeria. I am Chiwendi Osisiego. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. An all-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence. Yeah, welcome back from that segment of business with Chinwendu Osisiogwu. Once again, thanks Chinwendu for doing justice to that segment.
We'll now move on straight to healthy living, where Diane is always there to tell us something new with our health. Stay tuned.
Welcome to this episode of Healthy Living on Television Nigerian. Today, let's talk on the effect of putting smartphones on our bra or trousers. We are all guilty in one way or the other of either putting our cell phones in our pants, trousers, pockets, or bra for some women. As a woman, there is a good reason why you should never put your smartphone in your bra or even a breast pocket of your dress. Research has it that there is increasing evidence linking radiation from smartphones and breast cancer. As a man, it will interest you to know that your smartphone should never be kept in your pockets or pants or trousers. The reason is that there are growing evidence showing the radiation from smartphones can have an adverse effect on sperm production in the testes. Almost everyone owns a smartphone today, as it is known to be a normal social life. It has become an accepted addiction. But is it a healthy addiction? Let's see the proper usage of smartphones. The improper usage of smartphones could be potentially hazardous to the health. Cell phones emit radio frequency energy or non-ionizing radiation that is absorbed by tissues nearest to where the phone is held. Most developed countries have already enacted safety ordinances warning of potential hazards. For women, studies have shown that women who had been diagnosed with invasive breast cancer under the age of 40. This is as a result of frequent storing of cell phones in their bra. For men, studies have also shown that carrying of mobile phones in pant pockets or worn on belts could result in loss of quantity and quality sperm cells by men. Men who use mobile phones on a regular basis are believed to lose 30% of their active sperm cells. Scientists say that even in sleep mode, the mobile phone is as harmful as when switched on. Let's look at tips on safe use of smartphones. Firstly, while talking on your smartphone, try to keep the phone away from your body as much as possible. If possible, use the speakerphone mode or a wired headset, not a Bluetooth device. Secondly, avoid using your smartphones when the signal is weak or at high speed rates, such as in a car or train. Thirdly, avoid carrying your smartphone on your body at all times. Don't keep it near your body at night, such as under your pillow or on the bedside, particularly if pregnant. You can also put it on flight mode or offline mode, which stop electromagnetic emissions. Fourthly, if you must carry your smartphones on you, make sure that the keypads are positioned towards your body and the back is positioned outside so that the transmitted electromagnetic fields move away from you rather than through you. Fifthly, Only use a smartphone to establish contacts for conversation lasting a few minutes. Switch phones regularly while communicating on your smartphone to spread out your exposure. And also, before putting your smartphone to ear, wait until your correspondent has picked. When possible, communicate via text messaging rather than making a call to limit the duration of exposure and proximity to the body. We have seen the adverse effects of keeping smartphones too close to the body. Let's see what Buddha says about health. He said, a good health is a duty. Otherwise, we shall not be able to keep our minds strong and clear. This is the end of today's episode. Keep watching Television Nigerian. I am Diana Ujura.
Guilty.
Guilty too. We are
Majority, I
majority.
mean, you know, these are things we actually take for granted.
For granted, but you know, they have adverse effects.
And I can imagine you being conscious now that we know the risks involved.
Yeah.
You want to put no.
Dan said we should not have just remove it.
So
But that's the good thing about the program. You keep learning new things every day. And that's why you should always tune to us whenever you can.
Yes, we now move on straight to entertainment gist with Ginika Tasiobi. Please stay tuned.
Thank you for sticking with Daybreak Nigeria. This is the Entertainment Corner on the Daybreak program on TV Nigerian. I am Ginika Tasiobi. Do not forget you can join this conversation by following us on our social media platforms, showing on your screens at TVN. For Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, we are at TV Nigeria. Now, straight up to the news making headlines this morning. Eko Atlantic City has responded to Davido's allegations of the managers of the event center denying him the venue for the City of David concert coming up in December as political. In a report from the PRO office of Eco Atlantic, the response read, "It has been brought to our attention that we have allegedly denied the musician Davido's request to use the Eco Atlantic City for his upcoming concert. We received this request on November 8th, to which we responded for clarification and details about the event on November 9. We're yet to receive the requested information, so the notion that we declined his request is false, and to imply we are politically motivated is false. Some of the additional information requested was pertaining to security provisions, and Eko Atlantic City is not an event center and rather a city with existing residents and businesses. In light of this, we have strict rules and regulations when it comes to events and activities within the city. We require due processes. Eko Atlantic City takes the safety and security of the visitors to the city very seriously. We expect the same safety and security measures from event organizers who hold events in Eko Atlantic City. Any event within the city requires a proper level of planning, safety, and security from event organizers." So there you have it, fans. Eko Atlantic City has come to say their own part of the story, but I think we just sit down and relax and watch this event unfold. Now move over to Oyo State, where the Oyo State government has fulfilled its promise by reconstructing Yinka Ayefele's music house, Fresh FM, which was demolished on August 19, 2018. On Sunday, August 19, 2018, the ancient city of Ibadan woke up to the depressing news that the music house belonging to Tumba musician Yinka Ayefele was being demolished. The Oyo State government carried out the demolition, claiming infringement of some building laws, but after the media outcry and the condemnations of the masses, the story has now changed. Yes, the governor Ajimobi-led APC government has taken up the responsibility to rebuild the same structure it demolished for violating state laws. We gathered that they have a deadline to ensure that the building gets back to its former look by December 2018. The head of news at Fresh FM Radio in Ibadan, Samson Akindele, confirmed that it will be ready for December to enable them meet up preparations for the Christmas celebrations, which the radio station organizes for children every year. So congratulations, Nkaigifele. Big ups to you. Now, moving away from that, some few days ago, Nigerian singer Duncan Mighty shared a video of an old widow who was filmed dancing to his new song, Make It Saro. Yeah, Make It Rasso. I don't know how to pronounce that, but guys. And he asked his fans to help him locate this woman. And then a while ago, he announced that he was going to donate a bag of rice, 1 gold, 3 wrappers, and a cash prize of 20,000 naira. And also promised to pay for health care for the woman. His tweet wrote, "I beg, who knows this special mama, eh? Mommy, you don't win immediate medical attention, 1 bag of rice, 1 goat, and 3 wrappers, and 20k. Please make una help locate her. Make Kiraso touching life. Hashtag Make Kiraso, hashtag born for this." Now, after finding the woman, the singer instead surprised her with a brand new Toyota Camry and also got her registered at a clinic. Take a look.
I would like to defend
What's this one? Of Jesus. Amen. Don't go to remember this window today. Oh God, I declare and I prophesy. By the name of Jesus, heaven will remember you.
Good one, Duncan Mighty. Thank you so much. God bless you. This is what celebrities should and would always do to their fans. Come on, we buy your CDs, we play your songs, and we don't see your tunes. This is like the least you could do for us. That's the much we have on today's package for Daybreak. Do not forget to join the conversation on our social media platforms showing on your screen. I am your girl, Guinea Carter. I hand you guys over to those in the studio.
An anklet is a piece of jewelry, usually a chain, beads or both, that fashionable women ordinarily wear it around their ankles as a fashion statement. Nigerians sometimes call it leg chain or ankle chain. Through history, however, anklets have connoted different meanings to different cultures, and yes, it does mean indecency to some cultures. The terms anklets or ankle chains ring a bell sonorously enough. Today, ankle chains are shaping one of the main accessory trends sported at runway shows. But are anklets to be deemed just as a piece of fashionable accessory? I personally feel that anklets are just more than a fashionable trend, and that ambiguity is whetting my appetite to explore the meanings of anklets. So let us jointly make an entertaining tour through the anklet zone on this edition of As Life and Style. We will continue after this break. The latest runway shows brought forth a series of anklet designs and a couple of versions on how best to style them. Anklets can be of different designs, made out of various materials: gold, silver, leather, plastic, beads, and shells, and a focal point of mixing and matching procedures. It may be a misleading guess to think that anklets are just go-go pieces without any history behind them and without any symbolism hidden within them. Anklets do have history worth exploring and delving into. In the time past in Egypt, anklets was a form of class distinction to tell the rich from the poor. Wives of rich men wore gold chains, while the slaves or the poor wore silver, metallic or leather anklets. Accounts, however, claim worshippers of the deity Baal prescribed anklets for commercial sex workers. Those accounts, however, remain largely unconfirmed. In ancient India, anklets were in broader circulation than in any other region. They might indicate marital status of a woman or just serve as an ornament. The flexible ankle chains called paya were widely spread in India among dancers. In Christianity, however, it is the anklet worn on the left side that is considered to be a symbol of the devil and everything connected with evil forces in general. There is also another version of belief that the bracelets worn on the right ankle is telling about its wearers being of non-traditional sexual orientation. In some culture in early times, women wore an anklet because the sound of anklet indicates that a woman is going out of the house, which was not allowed in the earlier times, especially without permission. It was an indirect method to keep a check on women by family members, as women were said to be monitored back then. Well, Art Life and Style has compiled some secret meanings of ornament piece anklet for you. Many women may think the name anklet is just a mere trinket. It is actually a widely recognized symbol that a woman is married or committed yet available to other men for sexual activities with husband's consent and encouragement. Wow, despicable, right? When a married woman wears an anklet, it is a symbol that she is a beautiful wife, and that means that she stays committed to her husband but takes advantage of the agreed upon freedom to enjoy intimate encounter with other men. This is terrible. Now you know what an anklet is, so think twice before you become a fan. With this, we wrap up this edition of Art, Life and Style. Remember not to make fashion own you, but decide what you are, what you want to express by the way you dress and the way to live. I am Uchichi Lemowa. Bye for now.
There was a bit of quarrel in the studio. You know, someone just muted the volume and were like, "You would have allowed us here and name
because of the way she calls it,
Then I gave it to her for that one.
Yes,
Quite
and I
nice
actually
album.
enjoyed every bit of that report from Uchechi. Anklet, I mean, she made a total, a very long, extensive report on it, and we got to know everything we needed to know about anklets.
Yeah, there were some people who thought that if you were lesbian or something, you had to do your sexual
exactly.
life.
Yeah, and some also said that married women who wore it back then were permitted by their husbands. They had agreed that she could see other men and still come back to him. I don't know, all these myths and misconceptions back then.
But thanks to Uchechi once again for doing justice to the anklets myth, as it were. All right, we've come to that point where we got to sign out, and we are signing out on the note that you enjoyed every part of it. It's been fun having you from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and until today, Friday. What a week it has been with you. I'm sure that you will find time to join us again next week. My name is Nten Ebang. Bye-bye.
And I'm Eunice Johnson. We do hope we met your expectations. Have a great weekend ahead. Bye for now.
This is Television Nigerian, a broadcast network committed to serving you the very best in online and offline television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Matter Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hits Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seats and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your #1 choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on NigComSat doing our test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries,